Look, they got her turned off in the shot.
Turned off.
She a robot. So they just did a circular around her with the camera. She's in shutdown mode right there. Except for one last blink. Bloop.
Standby mode.
Standby. Yeah, standby. Sleep. Nah, sleep is actually sleep, I guess. VR?
Somebody's gonna actually make it work.
You couldn't go walk up into her office. That just doesn't happen.
Cause she's a robot. She might be shut down.
Eagle 1, Eagle 2.
Cause he's her programmer.
And as soon as they start pulling in,
He's the programmer.
Sunny supposedly tracked all the key card entries and exits, so you would be identified each time you went into any area.
Out for blood.
We would send emails, not CC Sunny or Elizabeth, and we would get a response back from Sunny. And I remember that was a very big turning point for me, where I was like, you are being monitored. You are being watched.
He's the programmer. I'm telling you.
That means that anything that I typed was being watched internally.
It seems kind of extreme for a receptionist, doesn't it? Did that happen to you anywhere else?
No, it's had to be signed.
Giant stack of paperwork saying you can't speak poorly about the company, you're legally liable for any detriment caused to the company. It's like, who's writing these
contracts? That's the start.
What are they trying to hide?
We weren't supposed to tell our families what we did. We weren't supposed to talk about anything that went on inside of Theranos.
Yeah.
Then after a while, people became paranoid of one another.
But Silicon Valley is trying to do things where people's lives are on the line. They're trying to make autonomous vehicles, they're trying to make medical devices. They're trying to do these things that if you don't do it right, quite frankly, people can die. You need to approach it with a different lens. And the testing ground is often just the general public.
That's cool, but if the shit don't work, then it shouldn't even be this far.
He just said the testing ground is often the general public. You just talked over that
Yeah,
part.
but how do you get a deal with Walgreens if you didn't even test?
Because they are part of it.
No.
Testing real patients in Arizona.
Okay.
They can test it. The test that they agreed to, I guess, was them giving the blood and then them taking them out to lunch, where they go manually take the blood out the machine and test it. They should be able to give them a machine to test, right? So I'm saying that they didn't do that, then I don't understand how they get far.
It was a risky move. The Edison machines had problems, and they weren't approved by regulators for in-store.
It didn't work.
In 2013, Theranos went live, testing real patients in Arizona. Due in part to the Walgreens launch, Theranos was able to raise over $400 million from new investors, like the Walton family, Betsy DeVos, the owner of the New England Patriots, and Rupert Murdoch, who put up $125 million. To investors and patients, it seemed like the system was working as advertised.
The plan was launch in Arizona.
$125 million. Due in part to the Walgreens launch, Theranos was able to raise over $400 million from new investors. To investors and patients, it seemed like the system was working as advertised.
I bet it was.
The plan was launch in Arizona as if it's a nationwide campaign.
You're talking logical. This is bigger than
key
it.
markets and roll it out across
I'm looking at all this advertisement.
I wasn't an engineer. I wasn't a scientist. I wasn't an R&D. I was human and optimistic. Because there are so many barriers to getting your blood drawn.
Yeah, I can just eliminate that
It's
human
fear of
shit.
needles, fear of finding out the results. Errol worked with Apple. Did a lot of great work with Apple. And Elizabeth was taken by that.
That's her
This
pitch
could
smile.
be potentially the Apple of healthcare.
That's the program pitch. I always see that smile when she pitching shit.
We did casting, real people that have all these issues. We did also reach out to existing Theranos customers and had several of them come.
You hear what they called it? Casting of people that have all these issues.
Hi.
They really did. 'Cause
I
it was a
know.
commercial.
I know.
I think we'll figure it out.
There are so many people that don't have insurance and can't afford insurance.
I was going to doctors and I couldn't afford it. I was paying out of pocket.
If you're trying to live a life, it gets in the way of it.
And if I could receive this information without having
The black
to
lady.
spend all of this money along the way, it's
Did
expensive.
they use a black lady?
It's ridiculous.
I'm sure they have one in there.
They didn't let her talk.
That's the plan.
But y'all
Once they
showed
went
her.
live in Arizona,
Cause they,
That's the only one they didn't show talk.
That's right.
Did you see her earlier?
you know,
mm-mm, just on that part,
you
just on the
wonder,
commercial.
like, is it
Without
What
having
black
to
lady were you
spend
talking
all
about?
this money along the way.
There
When they
are so
was
many
clicking
people
the
that
thing.
don't have.
Like doing tape, cut, when they were doing those.
All these
That's what you
issues.
talking
But
Okay.
also, my measure of success at that level, a visionary, owns his own company, in creating products that change the world. He did not give up or give in ever. So that was my measure of success. Now, on patients, that's a whole other thing.
I was gonna say he just
We tried to tell patients that, listen, we're not getting a lot of information about how they do their testing, and so we're kind of unsure of them. But then Theranos started giving out vouchers or
So they
gift
passed that thing
cards
in
to
Arizona?
get labs loaded.
because there were a lot of people that would like to have that.
We're part of our family because
And teams and different companies and all these other people generated to create this false.
Because of my extensive background in phlebotomy.
Yes, Walgreens.
Right.
Our goal is to be within 5 miles of every person's home through the Walgreens nationally.
Y'all gonna learn about that Walmart family.
Our success will be in being able to make it possible for no one to ever have to go through the process of being stabbed by a big needle to get blood anymore and be able to begin to get access to this lab
As I was doing my research, they had about
She should have
90
cleaned on her
tests,
nails before she did
and by the
that
time I was
shoot.
about to publish, they had
Look at
how
that.
exactly
That's that silicone
what she
skin that the
needed,
robots
so it's
have.
200 different
Yeah,
tests.
and
they
be
doing
able
that
to
on
begin
purpose
to get access to this lab.
to help.
As I was
help
doing
people.
my research, they had
Well,
about
good job,
90
because I think she's
tests,
a robot.
and by the time I was ready to publish, they had over 200.
They conditioned by being given an impression of her before they even meet her. By impression of by someone who's in awe with her.
They should know their own
It's an
before.
incredible blessing.
About,
It's a privilege. It's a gift from
yeah,
God.
don't look normal around her nose. And her
I'm looking for hairs coming out her pores. I don't really see it. It's little tiny hairs that come out of her pores.
The lie detector detects attention. I want more money, but I think it's wrong. I want more
For
money,
the
but I think it's
cause.
wrong. But if it's not wrong, why would you worry? If it's for a good cause, you can still think of yourself as a good person.
Human experiments. They're doing human experiments. They're doing human experiments.
doing that.
I know, but they're doing human experiments.
And there was a quote from Elizabeth Holmes that Canaletta described as comically vague. It sounded like the words of a high school chemistry student as opposed to a sophisticated laboratory scientist who had really invented new science. But I might not have done
Like, I don't
anything
even know if to
about
believe
it
if she know
for
anything.
the fact that my source was now coming to me with this tip. He said there's a laboratory director who had just left Theranos on pretty bad terms.
And that's why her
because he had become increasingly concerned.
that's why her
about
college
the
professor was
practices
like, what the
that he
fuck?
witnessed there.
Why you keep asking me about this? It don't even make
Definitely
sense.
picked up at that, and so
fuck
I
are you
made
talking about?
contact. When I got him on the phone after
I can't
trying
help
him a
you.
few
That's
times,
what she
he was
said.
terrified. So I had to agree to keep his identity confidential.
And Sonny
He
is the
told me that
programmer.
the Edison could only do a few tests.
The
You know-
truth is that before my story came out, there had already been instances of people going in to get their blood checked, and they would need to do a venipuncture instead of a finger stick of capillary blood. And so I asked about that a number of times, and the answers were incredibly opaque.
I bet.
So,
You're
in the
right.
next 5 years, 1 year, 2 months?
Much less than a year.
She's a fucking wax museum statue.
Evidence of absolutely not. I actually believe her. Of course, I remember her saying it to me, and that's a lie. Period.
Thank you. Thank you.
So after a year or so,
It's that simple. It's a lie.
They didn't tell us. It just happened.
Be careful, lady.
We were told we would need to say this blanketed statement. Due to the test that your physician ordered, we'd have to perform venipuncture to make sure that we had enough sample to perform the testing.
But that was the whole
Would you
point.
like to proceed? That's it. Yeah, it surprised a lot of the technicians. It surprised a lot of the patients or the customers that were coming in.
Yeah, I
too.
bet.
Some people expressed profanity.
Because that was the whole point.
Stormed out, demanded their money back. Then, during that whole transition to venipuncture, we had this big hiring boom where I had to train 50 more employees because now we opened up our next 10 wellness centers.
Problems at Theranos were magnified.
So they opening up by the tens, honey. What do you be doing with the? You tell me I don't put out.
Just roll it back. Roll it back a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay. Gonna be alright. What do I do with the what now? Talk to me.
I want the board too.
That's what you're looking for?
Yes.
Okay, that's all. So that's all you have to do, honey. It's ways. It's ways. Yeah.
Why don't you use this?
Throw that shit away. I was mad at you for bringing it back out.
Well, it's got a little bottle opener. Not that we need that for anything, but it's got a cute little bottle opener.
Poison.
Oh, I was gonna buy me some. I saw they got Hacker now in bottles, little bottles. I was gonna buy.
Get some.
But I thought at the end of the day, why? I enjoy what I enjoy.
Which was not how they were supposed to be used, and so people who worked in the clinical lab were nervous about that because they were violating the operating standards for those devices, which, you know, are rigorous standards since they're being used to test people for diseases. We were fudging results, rerunning quality control tests until they passed.
Fudging
the solution at some point was, you know, if you just throw out that one data,
that alone is ethically abominable in the medical industry. Just to say that you did that in the medical industry.
So my tests come back that I'm got diabetes. My tests come back.
Or AIDS or some shit. Cancer.
Yeah.
And how about the people that got told they got cancer, but they was like, hey, we'll come out as winners as we treat them and then say they're in remission.
Right, or the doctor trusted and misdiagnosed you based on the test results.
Yeah.
You know, if you just throw out that one data
come out
the other three,
it makes me wonder what they do when they get in there and it don't visually look damaged.
What's that?
I said it makes you wonder how that looked like, even if a doctor, like you said, trusted the results, go in there for the procedure and visually see that it doesn't look like it has the damage that they quote unquote diagnosed.
And yeah, that's not the way you approach science that's going to be.
That's right. That's all I'm saying.
There were people who had to run tests on devices that they knew weren't working.
And even syphilis.
I was running precision testing for syphilis, and there was a lot of variability in the test.
What he neglected to say was, it's also people, they make it seem like people that have it didn't get told that they have it. But they also are telling people they have it that don't have it.
Right.
You're not presenting.
They're going by what the stats should be.
Yeah, but they're not presenting.
Making it happen.
Yeah.
But
I'm saying they're not presenting the other part of that is all the responsibility all on them. They're just saying, well, some people have it, we told them they didn't. They're not saying that some people that don't, that we told they did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're still protecting themselves, in a way.
Other
labs. We said it both ways, though.
No, we did not.
Seeing that at first with TSHs.
No, we did not.
So, if people are testing themselves for syphilis
ways,
using Theranos,
right? But they're not presenting the other way that gives them the weight of the responsibility. They're just saying, hey, some people we didn't tell they had it.
The was when they started giving us results that were not matching up.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Other labs. We started seeing that at first with TSHs. The patient would want to order their own lab, labs.
if you was
But
getting
then
your
they get it and they
blood class
don't know what
testing when you was getting that done every week.
So we
And you go
started
there
sending
and
them
your
to
shit all out, so
BLAQppl
they
Oh my
don't
just to
God.
verify, and
some
that's
other
when we started
medication
seeing
to
some
fuck you
pretty
up.
abnormal results. I understand how a patient would want to order their own labs, but then they get it and they don't know what to do with it, or they go on Google and Google everything under the sun and see that they have cancer. So
She's saying that's what I was saying. One extreme or the other. They leaving the other extreme out because it.
It's performed on me and my children.
There's so many people who reach out to us and thank us. There's one guy, he said,
I
thank
knew
God
that was
for
funny.
Theranos. I mean, how many times you say that about companies? You buy a product and
He
you
the
ever say
program, I'm
thank God
telling
for
you.
Uber?
See how they
Because every
keep
time
dropping
you need a
Uber
lab
and.
test, every time your family needs a test,
I couldn't feel comfortable with running these tests on patients because at the end of the day, I wouldn't.
Because
run
he's
them on
programming
myself.
her what to
I
say
wouldn't run
behind
them on
him.
Family members. And I went into Sunny's office.
She taking
and I
in
said,
the
"I'm
data.
not letting at that point.
She was
These
taking the
results
data. What to say? What comes after?
But
I
we're
agree
still.
with you, but
How
I'm
someone
glad she's still
continues their
alive.
life.
I hope she okay today.
In the holidays, I loved him so much. He was fine. He was diagnosed one day with normal skin cancer. One day, actually, he has brain cancer. And actually, also he was brain cancer. I forgot to see his medical.
He turned into that. It turned into his brain cancer turned into his skin cancer turned into brain cancer.
Sometimes you have to think maybe you're wrong.
Is that her mama?
That
At the
was
time, you
Katie
wondered
Cured.
whether Elizabeth's tempting her.
Maybe Schwarzenegger's wife.
It kind of corrupt or not they were for me. You know, I thought that Theranos was going to get away with it.
Yeah, I would have too. I'm sitting here thinking they probably.
That the results ain't right.
Small fraction.
Because people gonna start getting misdiagnosed, and that's gonna resurface to the blood test.
With all her political connections,
You underestimate how easy people are to
You can't
brainwash.
keep that going on forever. It's not help. They gonna get a second opinion, a third opinion.
I know and agree. I'm just saying there are even some things that.
Get confrontational with her.
That's only a matter of time.
The end game, I think, it comes back to fake it until you make it.
in the meantime, the Theranos operation in Palo Alto was being regulated by CMS,
Who are the Edisons?
the federal agency
That's the
in charge of
machine.
clinical affairs. Theranos was also playing games with them.
Okay.
Even though some
The name of the
patient tests were
machine.
performed
Okay.
on Edison's, Theranos never reported those. The company only gave CMS the data from third-party machines. In
She
charge of
named them
clinical
that?
labs. Theranos
After
was
Thomas?
also playing games with them.
I don't know that.
Even though
Their machine.
The decision was, let's send what was on the Imulite and on the Siemens
Mm-mm,
Aggie.
from the
Let's not
existing
send
machine.
The Edison results. And that really freaked me out because that was
Edison is
suggesting
their machine.
Right, and she didn't want them to send the results
Right.
from that. She had them sent to
Right, but I'm just saying Edison is the name of their machine.
I understood that.
Yeah, okay.
gave CMS the data from third-party machines.
the decision was, let's send what was on the Imulite and on the Siemens Aggie. Let's not send the Edison results. And that really freaked me out because that was suggesting that, okay, we didn't trust
We can't
the
trust our
test.
Edison.
And
Right.
here we were able to make that discernment of what was the appropriate one to send.
But he didn't really seem to believe what I was saying. And he said, like, Elizabeth has told me that Theranos really can do all the things that it says it can do. Theranos is, more accurate, going to change the world. They're trying to convince me that you're
He
stupid.
signed up for it
They
first
can't convince
before
me
it's
that you're
right.
stupid, but
Yeah.
they can convince me that
He don't
and I
realize
wanna
how
give
deep
him
his
that
grandfather
opportunity
is
because
in it.
I think he was like 94, 95 at the time.
His grandfather know what he doing.
So I met with John and
He
his
don't realize
integrity
his
completely
grandfather.
intact. I called him, and in that phone call, I decided that I wanted to help him out. I said, my grandfather made it through Watergate and the Iran-Contra scandal with his integrity completely intact. Once he becomes aware of the fraud that's happening, he will do everything he can to make things right.
He a part
And
of
I
it,
wanted
my
to give him
G.
that opportunity because I think he was like 94, 95 at the time. That was also in an email that I had sent to Elizabeth.
So they knew you was the mole.
So now they know it's him.
About a month after
Probably.
that, I went to go have dinner with my parents.
And at
They
this
probably
point,
still had
I
all
talked
his
to a
interactions
doctor
tracked
from
even after he
Wall Street
quit.
Journal, who was doing an investigative report
And he knew it. That's why he bought that burner phone.
So I'm at work one day. I'm working late, and two of my colleagues are leaving, and I'm going to be the only one in the building. And they look outside, and they're like, "Hey, Erica, like, there's been this guy who's just been sitting in our parking lot for the whole day."
They lucky to be alive.
And that's very unusual.
Another boy Schiller turning, put a little tape recorder on the other end of the conference table, and it was very clear that they were approaching this as a deposition in a legal proceeding. If they were going to record, then I was going to record as well.
Okay, so, we're here today.
How come they couldn't pray on the fact that it was inaccurate? You know what I mean? How come they couldn't pray on that fact? As opposed to how was it being done? Because the lawyers seem to be trying to protect the trade secret, how it's done. And I don't hear anybody saying that it's inaccurate and it's not.
Because human life is not the priority, no matter what they,
Right.
no matter how they get caught.
Like we were on the right track.
No matter who gets proven right or wrong.
Apparent to us.
Because you notice at the end of the day they got caught, right? But human life is still not the priority. They still lie to us in the name of a
I don't
new.
remember his exact words, but he said, "Well, they know. So I called my grandfather, and he said, "Elizabeth tells me that you've been giving trade secrets away to the Wall Street Journal, and if this story gets published, that essentially your career will be ruined. But there's a one-page confidentiality agreement you can sign to just make it all go away." And so I go to his house the next morning, and he said, "Okay, well, there are actually two Theranos lawyers here right now." I was extremely nervous about what was
His
going to happen,
grandfather was
very
about.
uncomfortable with the whole situation.
They could be protected if you talk to a regulatory agency. And I'm like, what regulatory agency? Like, how do you do that?
She was 20 something going through this. Oh, she came on. She threw it all on the table, huh? She a G. And she had somebody wait on have to work too.
Scam, right?
Because you didn't have anything that you delivered. You sold an idea.
I'm not programmed for dancing. I am not programmed for dancing. They give her rhythm? Nope. No program of rhythm.
He's scum.
He is. He's the programmer.
4th of July 2015. It was euphoria. The company. It was.
They got cleared by the FDA. Did they try to say you, hey, your shit ain't
Them
working?
trigger words. Attack. They're attacking us.
Fuck you. Really?
But he's already unhinged. If the little secretary girl said one thing to him and say, "How about you do your job?
Right.
Know your place." If you gotta why you have to react like that? You know what I mean? It could be like, "Oh well, there's some implication. The intricate parts."
She bouncing and having fun.
You see, he got to be out there in case something go wrong. Look, he checking his computer.
Okay, too much bouncing.
Yeah.
Reboot.
Yeah, and he need to be able to.
When I got up in the morning and
If you think about it, it still got swept under the rug because now this is history. Did nobody stay on this no length of time?
Well, she's forbidden her from running the company for I think 6 years.
Shouldn't she be in prison?
Used until after.
Okay, big deal. Oh, you can't run a company for 6 years. So the 7th year she can go back at it? The 7th year she can go back at it?
I'm sorry, but I did.
What's wrong with your shit don't work?
I knew immediately when I woke up that day that the article was having
Accountability
impact
is not a
because
thing.
emails from readers and from colleagues were flowing into my inbox. And I think suddenly there was a realization in Silicon Valley that this has allowed fraud to thrive.
Duh. For long before they even existed. Long before Liz was born.
But lawsuits rarely resolve issues. What's going to resolve this issue is the science, the marketplace. The company is being successful in Arizona. Doctors are happy, patients are happy. They're getting.
Doctors and patients were not happy. The FDA was so worried about patient safety that it banned the use of the nanotainer, putting an end to all fingerstick tests at Walgreens. CMS conducted a surprise inspection of the Theranos lab and found the blood testing so inaccurate that it posed a threat to patient safety, likely to cause serious injury, harm, or death. CMS revoked the lab's license to operate. The letter that prompted CMS to act came from amerkkKLAN.
In the end, for me,
he said that he had no idea how much deception there was, and that he was proud of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm glad he finally really gets
Watch
it.
your back. Watch your back. I know.
Translation. I really
There
love
was
that
a
young
Eternal
girl.
Technology conference.
But watch your back, because he old. He committed.
Could you get specific on the key points today?
When we do fingerstick, every time we use technology that is not commercially available. We have never used commercially available lab equipment. For fingerstick-based tests. Every fingerstick test.
Had underestimated her willingness to bald-faced lie. In public.
He gave it a bald face.
Do you feel now, in hindsight, that
She bald face. That's a bald face lie.
Every fingerstick test.
Had underestimated her willingness to bald-faced lie in public on our turf.
I guess what I really want to know is, do you feel now, in hindsight, that maybe you went to market a little too quickly? Feel pressure to do that in any way?
We're the exact same company. Nothing has changed. We're working every single day to try to get these tests and systems to meet the highest quality standards.
She was not apologetic. She said, I never would intentionally try to mislead you. Why would we do that? She was trying to persuade me to take out that sentence. She said something like, if you're not going to take that language out, we're going to
Through my
have to
fault.
do something about that language, which was a little menacing.